Hey guys, a little while ago I had done a video on how I make salami using quick oats and egg and some seasoning. And I had some people ask how I make pepperoni and how I make bologna. So in this video, those are two different sausages I'm going to show you how I make using basically the same recipe. We're going to start by making the pepperoni, and then I'm going to make the bologna. The bologna I'm going to make is also what I use for hot dogs. Basically, in my opinion, bologna and hot dogs are the same thing. One's larger and is sliced for like sandwiches, and the other one is just smaller and you eat it whole like a hot dog. You can basically, however you shape the sausage, it's either going to be bologna or hot dogs. And I think maybe to mix things up, I'm going to make the hot dog version of that in today's recipe. Because I'm doing both recipes at the same time, just to keep things from getting confusing, I'm going to make the mixes one at a time. So I'm going to start with the pepperoni, and when that's done, I'm going to make the bologna. That way we can keep things separate right up to that steaming process where we steam the sausage. And let's get started. Okay, like the other recipe and all the other oat recipes, we're going to start with the base of 1 cup of quick oats, 1 egg scrambled, or you can just scramble it in the bowl, 1/4 cup of water, and 1 tablespoon of coconut oil. And this is like a firm or a solid coconut oil that I just kind of chopped up and measured. I like to use coconut oil in this because the sausage is going to be refrigerated, and although this melts in the cooking process, when it's done and you put it in the fridge, you end up with little fatty chunks like you would in a normal sausage. That's why I like using coconut oil for this part. I'll be adding 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 1 tablespoon of ketchup, and this is our homemade ketchup. If you want to see how we make this, I'll put a link down in the description. 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of ground mustard, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of fennel, 1/4 teaspoon of crushed red pepper, and 1 teaspoon of beet powder. And I'm adding the beet powder just for coloring. It doesn't have anything to do with the flavor profile. It's just to give it a nice color. So if you don't have it, you can exclude it without a problem. Now that we've got all of our pepperoni ingredients in the bowl, I'm just going to mix these up. And once we have this mixed, so it's completely and thoroughly mixed together, I'm going to just pop a shower cap on it like I normally do and stick it in the refrigerator to soak for a minimum of 2 hours. That'll allow the oats to kind of absorb all the liquid and kind of blend with all the seasonings that we put in here. And I'll give you a close-up look of what this looks like so that you can, if you're following along and making it yourself, you can kind of make sure that yours has the same appearance. And now that we have it all mixed up, I'm just going to take a shower cap, pop that over the top to hold in the humidity, to hold in the moisture, and put it in the fridge for 2 hours. Now that our pepperoni is all set, we're going to get started on our bologna or hot dogs. For this recipe, I'm going to be using, today I'm going to be using a coffee grinder, a coffee mill. You can do this in a food processor. You can use a blender. I'm just mixing it up a little bit, and I'm going to use a coffee mill. I'm going to put in 1 cup of oats. And I'm going to do this a little bit out of order because I don't want wet ingredients in here. I'm only going to be putting my dry ingredients in the grinder. 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, half a teaspoon of mustard powder, 1/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika, 1/8 teaspoon of nutmeg, 1 teaspoon of beet powder. And again, the beet powder is optional. It's for color purposes only. I'm just going to put the lid on this and grind this up into a really fine powder. And the reason we're grinding up this is because bologna has a very smooth texture to it. It's not chunky or rough. So we're going to chop all these pieces up and make it so it's more of a powder, and it'll give us a smoother texture. Okay, now that we have all that ground up, I'm going to just put that in our bowl. And now we can add the wet ingredients. 1 egg scrambled or pre-scrambled, 1/4 cup of water, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, and 1 tablespoon of ketchup. With all our ingredients in the bowl, I'm just going to mix this up. Same as what we did with the pepperoni, until I have a nice, smooth, even mixture. We don't want any floury chunks or any of those seasonings or herbs floating around in chunks. You want to get this really consistent and evenly mixed up so it's very thorough. And I'll give you a close-up of what this one looks like as well. But this will get all mixed up, and then we'll put a shower cap on this one and put it in the fridge as well. Well, it's been 2 hours, and I have both the pepperoni and the hot dog / bologna mix taken out of the fridge. So the first thing we're going to do is the hot dogs. If I make hot dogs, I can make 4. If I'm going to make bologna, I make 1 bigger sausage. But because I'm doing hot dogs, I'm going to do 4. So I ripped 4 pieces of aluminum foil. Just give it a quick spray with oil. And then I'm going to take our mix and kind of divide it into about 4 even amounts. And let me scoop that onto here. Kind of give this a shape like a hot dog, like a small sausage. And then I'm just going to wrap this up. And you want to wrap it as tight as you can. It's going to be a little difficult because it's kind of wet. So you don't want to squeeze too hard, otherwise it's just going to come out the ends. But wrap it up, then find the end. Twist it, go to the other end, twist it as well. And by twisting this, what we're doing is we're squeezing all of it into this sausage shape, because we want it to be as tight as possible inside this. Okay, and that's 1 done. I'm going to do the other 3, and then we'll move on and we'll get the pepperoni wrapped up. Okay, finished with the hot dogs, and now same thing. Spray a piece of aluminum foil, or you can grease it by, with your hand. Just get that greased, otherwise this will stick to the aluminum. And now we'll do the pepperoni. This one I'm going to do is 1 large sausage, so I'm not going to worry about having to divide it into 4 equal parts. This one can just get dropped right on here. And this is sort of like the salami video. I'm just going to roll this into 1 larger sausage. Maybe, I don't know, 2 inches around. Sort of like pepperoni that you buy at the store. Okay, looks good enough. Same thing, we're just going to wrap this as tight as we can. and then twist the ends. Okay. And behind me, I've already started some water on the stove, getting that nice and hot. I'm going to bring that to a boil, and I'm going to use that as my steamer. I'm going to put a vegetable steaming tray in the top, and we're going to steam these for 45 minutes to an hour. And you can use any method for steaming that you want. If you have a rice steamer or a vegetable steamer or a pressure cooker that you can use for steaming, whatever you feel like using. So here are my 4 hot dogs and my pepperoni. So I'm going to get these over to the stove, and oh, actually, here's my tray. I'll just load them right into the tray. There we go. I'll put this on the stove, and like I said, 45 minutes to an hour. They should be done. I'll take them off the heat, and we'll see how they turned out. Well, our 45 minutes is up, and I took our sausages out of the steamer. So now I'm just going to take them and put them onto a cooling rack. And it's getting a little late here, so I'm probably going to put these in the refrigerator overnight. And we'll unwrap them and see how everything came out in the morning. I'll see you then. Well, it's the next day. I took the hot dogs and the pepperoni out of the refrigerator, and we're going to unwrap those and check them out. Okay, we'll start with the pepperoni. Let's just get this unwrapped. And the pepperoni is good for anything you'd use pepperoni for, whether you're going to cut it up and put it on crackers or put it on pizza. Anyway, this is what the actual pepperoni stick looks like. I'll cut it and then you can see the inside. Okay, and here's the inside. Hopefully you can see that well. And I'll slice just a slice of pepperoni, like what I'd put on a pizza. And you can see it's kind of flexible like pepperoni. It breaks apart, so if you want to crumble it, you can use it that way. I'm just going to eat it while I'm on the video because I'm rude. Okay, and I'll open one of these hot dogs for you. And again, these, depending on how you want to use it, whether this was a bologna or a hot dog. Whoops. Here you go. Now, if this was bologna, it would be the larger sausage, but I'm going to slice this in half anyway, just so you can see what they look like. Kind of like a hot dog, and they're flexible. And I haven't tried boiling these yet. I know some people like to boil their hot dogs. I've grilled these. I've seared them in a pan. You can either eat it like a hot dog in a bun, or you can cube these up and serve it with baked beans. If it was bologna, you can make bologna sandwiches or use that however you would use it. But now I've got some more meat substitutes for my refrigerator arsenal. I'm probably going to make a pepperoni pizza, and one of these nights we'll have hot dogs with baked beans. Well, now that we have all those unwrapped, I'm going to put them in a container that I can put in the refrigerator. These will stay in the refrigerator for 2 to 3 weeks. After that, you can also freeze them. I've taken and froze these, and then thawed them out to use, and everything was great. They didn't get weird after coming out of the freezer. So if you want to make any of this in advance, you can just freeze it, wrap it, double wrap it, or double bag it, freeze it so it doesn't get freezer burned, and just thaw it out before you use it. Or if you're planning on using it right away, like we are, I'm just going to put it in the fridge, and within a week or 2 weeks, I'm sure this will all be gone, and I'll make some more. Anyway, if you like this video, if you want to see how I make other meat substitutes, make sure to comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.